Celtics have a real chance of winning the 2022 NBA championship. And here's how. I will be giving you guys a couple reasons to why the Boston Celtics will win the championship and facts as evidence. So, one reason is that on ESPN's BPI, the Boston Celtics have a 39% chance of winning the NBA championship. So, according to ESPN's BPI, the Boston Celtics are favorites to win the NBA championship. So, the Boston Celtics have a great defense, as they're the best defense in the league. Teams that have a top 10 defense have a lot better chance of winning the NBA championship, and the Boston Celtics are number one in this category. Their big men consist of Al Horford and Robert Williams, who are both great defenders. Al Horford is a savvy veteran who is 36 years old. He moves his feet very well on the defensive end and is a great perimeter defender, and also can block shots because of his size. Robert Williams is another great defender who is sadly injured right now, but may come back in the first or second round if the Celtics make it there. And Robert Williams can block shots very well, and he's also a pretty good perimeter defender. Al Horford in Game 1 of the first round against the Brooklyn Nets guarded Kevin Durant very well. It was a team effort to guard Kevin Durant, but in a couple of possessions, Al Horford had to guard Kevin Durant, and he did his job very well. In this game, he also got 15 rebounds and 20 points. Al Horford can also shoot from beyond the arc. So Al Horford is a great all-around player for the Boston Celtics, who gives them offense and defense. The Celtics on-ball defenders are Marcus Smart, Grant Williams, and Jaylen Brown. Marcus Smart, in my opinion, is the defensive player of the year this season because he's the heart and soul of this Boston Celtics defense. He represents the Boston Celtics defense. He is the best defensive player on the best defensive team. You heard me right. The Boston Celtics are ranked as first in defense in this category in the NBA. And Marcus Smart leads them in defense as he can get steals and blocks. He guarded Kevin Durant pretty well and also guarded Kyrie Irving pretty well, although Kyrie Irving scored 39 points in this Game 1. Grant Williams is also another good defender who can steal the ball and block shots. He also guarded Kevin Durant pretty well. Jaylen Brown is great on offense and defense. He can drive to the rim pretty well, and on the defensive side of the ball, he has great length, and he can guard Kevin Durant pretty well. He can get steals and blocks too. Overall, the Celtics defense is absolutely amazing, and they have the best defense in the league. You cannot take this team lightly because they're not only good at defense, but they're good at offense. They can beat the Brooklyn Nets by making either Kyrie Irving or Kevin Durant struggle in their game. In these games for the Brooklyn Nets, Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant both have to play pretty good in order for the Brooklyn Nets to win games. So it'll be pretty tough if the Celtics guard one of their big two very well. Now let's talk about the Celtics offensive duo. The Boston Celtics really need on the offensive end is Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. They're a great duo. Jaylen Brown averaged 23 points per game this season, and Jason Tatum averaged about 27 points per game this season. They are a great dynamic duo that work together pretty well. They can both play pretty well defense, and also Jason Tatum is a great offensive player who can shoot the three ball and drive to the rim pretty well. He's also getting a lot better at passing the ball and making great plays, as in this game against the Brooklyn Nets, he made a lot of great reads. So, Jason Tatum, if he averages at least 25 points per game, it's going to be enough for the Boston Celtics to win games. And I think Jason Tatum is going to average 30 points per game against the Brooklyn Nets, and Jaylen Brown will average about 23 to 24 points per game. That is just enough for the Boston Celtics. And if the Boston Celtics play good defense and good offense, they have a good chance of winning against the Brooklyn Nets and any other teams in the East. That's what makes them scary. And also, against good teams, the Boston Celtics are 20 and 15, which is a winning record. That is pretty good against top 8 teams in the conferences. The Boston Celtics are top 8, which says a lot. They're also top 10 in defense and offense. They're number 6 in offense and number 1 in defense. And they're still number 1 in defense after their terrible start in the season. They would be a lot better on the defensive end if they started better in the season. And also on the offensive end, they would also be a lot better if they started better on the season. So I think this is great for the Boston Celtics because 26 out of the last 33 championship teams have been top 10 in offense and defense, which is a fair amount of teams. So this shows that the Boston Celtics can also win the NBA championship because they're a well-rounded team. At the end of the season, last few games, the Boston Celtics were first in offense. So that shows a lot. That shows a lot of what Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown can do. Not to mention of the role players that are playing, Marcus Smart, Al Horford, who can be a rim runner, get rebounds, and score on second chance opportunities, and he can also stretch the floor. Once Robert Williams comes back, he can be a good lob threat, and Jason Tatum can throw him lobs. This Boston Celtics team is scary, and I think the rest of the NBA playoffs should watch out for this Boston Celtics